Hello, my name is FRANCESFOX, and I am a trained remote viewer. I was in a research project since birth that was for mind expansion and human potential. Superpowers exist, and you can achieve them in this lifetime much more easily and much more gracefully than what was achieved in the program I was in. That's actually why I'm here. I'm here to teach you about magic. And today I was thinking about it. A lot of people suspect the word magic. Um, it's actually about creating reality, which I have a whole book written on, and I better get out. I need to get it out to you. Pretty blocked and getting it edited, having to do with grammar, etc. The content is finished. So today we're going to discuss something that a couple of people have told me about that came out on X. Apparently, a man named Terrence, I don't remember his last name, I apologize, but if somebody knows it, they can put it on the chat. And he was talking about remembering his birth, his process of being born. Human memory is all over the body, and it's particularly on all of these strings, these 72,000 strings that extend from the center axis. The center axis is when they talk about spirituality, they talk about it, emptiness, the void. It's not really empty. It's not the void. It actually, that's where your intentions are. And then extended from there are 72,000 strings that work with the elements, images, other sensory information to create the reality that you're living. But memory is on top of those strings. And if you have heavy memories that are not being processed, like traumas, they stick to the strings and eventually they become wet. Water is emotion, so they become moist with emotion. But let's go back to the birthing process because I think it might be interesting, and I don't know if you are ready for it, and we're not going to do it today. But I can guide you back to remembering when you were born, and those of you that allow yourself to be taken into another dimension may remember. Or I could tell you what your birthing process was like, which I did on a couple of radio shows. It was really fascinating because most people, personalities, a big part of it is connected to the process of birth. It's their first experience. It's their first trauma. It's very traumatic. The person that has done the most work on that, that's well known, his name is Stan Grof, Stanislav Grof. I'm not sure if he's from Yugoslavia. I think so. He was a psychiatrist that the US government brought into this country, gave him a lab for him to work on research on LSD. He was the one that did that research where the LSD was introduced into the universities under what appear to have been false pretenses, and people weren't aware that they were part of a research project. I think the whole United States is a research project, but we're not going to go into that. We're going to try to stay out of conspiracy today and get into the stuff that's really interesting. So he and his wife, and I do not remember her name. I think she passed already, and I think he's still alive. I met him personally. He wrote an entire book on what he would do for people and the information that would come out, which would be like a rebirthing process through a breath that I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, it's called holotropic breath, which is, and it takes you back. It's very, very neat. And his contention, I can validate that is accurate, that the quality of your birth, those minutes or hours, are a big part of your personality. If your birth was difficult, you will view life as a battle and a struggle, and you have to pay attention and fight in order to survive, because that's what you felt like you had to do when you were being born. Very, very interesting. And that takes us to the noise that you're hearing is my dog that appears to be very happy playing. I'm not exactly, he's usually very quiet when I'm doing the chats. It brings us to the whole issue of what's a human being? I had a friend of mine that I knew when I was in my, here, let me pick up the dog. Okay. Is there something the matter? Is there something you want to tell me? He's just saying for me to be good to myself. I don't know what that means. Okay. You want to come? Fine. If you don't want to come, fine. So I knew him when I started my process of memory work in the 90s, when I started to remember all the abuse, etc. And he said to me, Francis, memory is really important for humans, because if you don't have memory, then you can't be who you are. You are who you are as a reaction to your memory. And I actually did not understand what he was saying to me, but he's totally accurate. So we're born. We don't remember the birth. Some people do, very few, like this man, Terrence. But if you do this process of holotrophic breath work, and I think it's called rebirthing, you can go back to when you were born, and it releases the trauma of whatever had happened when you were being born or right before you were born. Okay, so humans have memory from inception. No. This Terrence has done us all a very big favor. This that I'm talking about, holotrophic breath and graph, was in the 90s. Why are we talking about it now? Because people are waking up. So, conception to death, no. Now we're finding out that we can remember our birth, and we already know from Stan Groff and his work and many other people that we react to our birth. But you got to go like this, because before you were born, you existed, and you have memory of that in different parts of your body. I keep saying that all traumas have a zip code, and that when you're doing your trauma work, you should find the zip code, because then you can go ahead and tap on it, or you can put flower essences there. You can put crystals there. I designed a crystal shield, and different types of crystals that you can put over the area that needs healing. But we don't start at conception. We start way, 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 way back, and then we keep being reborn, and we keep running into the same issues. And the memory of what happened to us in all those lifetimes, and including when our process of being born, shapes us into who we are today. And then we have to do a lot of therapy if we actually are not happy that we're very paranoid. But it turned out that we're paranoid because of everything that happened. So we have to go back and clear what happened, and then the reaction of paranoia stops. I haven't done that part of my process. I still have a lot of paranoia, which is totally legitimate. The point of the matter is that this information is old, and everybody is titillated by it today. But that's because they can actually hear it. They can actually conceive that maybe this is true. Oh my God, I wonder what happened to me. And again, if I felt that there were enough of you, not my Mantrist group, because they already know this, if there were enough of you that wanted me to do this, I could do this. I could either go through a few of you and tell you what your birthing process was and how it affected you. Because the important thing is how did it affect you? How did it change you? Or how did it create the you that you are today? Really kind of neat. For me, it's like a throwback. Okay, we're going to go back there. Let's go back there. Because it's one of the things that's enjoyable. In terms of past life, you can do past life therapy. It's very effective. When it's interesting, when I'm with people, sometimes I'll say, you want me to read a past life for you? Because I know it really, they enjoy it. I'm over that in the sense that I already know that that's so important, but people really enjoy it. And it's kind of fun. It's like a little story. So I go ahead and I tell them what I see in a previous lifetime. And most of the time they correct me and they say, no, no, Francis, that's this lifetime. And I go, no, no, that's that lifetime. And you are repeating it in this lifetime. When I get scared is when they tell me, oh, what's my lifetime with this man I'm in love with, or this person that I'm married to, or my kid. And then I get scared because I don't know what is going to come out. Maybe they had a terrible relationship, and then it's kind of like anchoring that, which it's not, but it doesn't feel good. The point of the matter is the whole widening of the lens. I've been hammering on that since I started these chats, and you're doing it. The interest in that's really old news for the metaphysical community in the United States and across the world. It's old. That's old. We already did that. We're on to something else. The fact that everybody was so titillated by it, like, oh my God, he remembers, this is a very good thing. This is like people are actually waking up. So I went ahead and I sketched everybody before you got here. And that made me very nervous what I sketched, because I sketched this. I haven't seen these circles around us. I saw it several weeks back. There was a circle in this corner, and it was a portal because we were in the ascension process, and we were walking towards the portal. I think we're going through the portal. I think this is the back of the person. That made me nervous. Does that mean I'm getting left behind? I'm painting him from the back? But I guess not, because I'm not sure that I could paint him from the front, because I have no idea. All I know is I painted this, I sketched it right now, and it made me nervous. But it's actually really, really, really good. So we are going through the portal. There's a triple protection there. And again, just our mind streams in the upper chakras are the ones that appear to be operational. But we have mind streams starting from down here. I think that what this is saying, and has been saying for several weeks, is that the lower chakras are not going to be important, or they're not going to be there. What are the lower chakras? The first is the root chakra, having to do with physical life, where you live, security, the police not showing up, having enough to eat, being prosperous enough to pay your bills. And then the second chakra has to do with sexuality, manifestation, creativity. And the third chakra has to do with, it channels your personal power. It's called the garbage can of emotions. But they're not, the mind streams from those three energy centers. There's 7 total. There's more, and there's complicated. We're not getting into that. There's 7 major ones. The lower ones are not showing up in any of these sketches. So we're leaving behind perhaps the heaviness of the physical dimension, or the heaviness of the physical dimension. I'm going to sketch again once we start to do the mantras. But again, we can have more fun in this chat, but I need more of an interaction with the people that I'm trying to reach, which are the people that don't speak Spanish, that haven't been with me before. And if you want to play a little bit with all this stuff, we can do it. And it is a lot of fun, and it's totally cost-free. By the way, this Terrence that was on the Joe Rogan show, I did not listen to the interview. It was supposed to be spectacular. Everybody's raving about it. He must have taken LSD, because his mind is very wide. And as I have said to you before, through the years, when I've met people at cocktail parties or whatever, and I'll be talking to them, and all of a sudden I'll just say, you tried LSD? And they'll go, no. And I'll, you didn't? No. Okay. And we keep talking. And then they come back to me and they say, why did you ask that question? I said, well, your mind is so expanded. It's as if you had taken it. And they go, yeah, I did. I just don't talk about it. I went, wow. Okay. Never have they held firm to the statement, no, I never took it. They always come back. Or we talk about something else and they go, you know what? I did take it. because I think they could tell I'm not judging. I am not recommending LSD. You can do mantras, you can smoke marijuana together with a mantra in a very quiet place. Um, and if you smoke enough, you're going to get down to those dimensions where you have memories held. So I'm going to explain how I use it, how I use the marijuana. I have medical marijuana here in Florida. All you have to do is say, I'm a little stressed, and they give you a little prescription, and then you go and you buy it at very restricted stores, but that's okay. You can get it. I don't really use it for relaxation. But what I have done, and it really should be a protocol, if I have a heavy duty issue and I'm not making much of a dent on it, or I've got too many heavy duty issues and I can't spend all that time on the mantras, I don't have enough mantra time in my head in my day, I will make a decision. Okay, I'm going to do this. And I will set aside a couple of hours, and I will, with my mantra already formulated in a place where nobody's going to knock on the door or whatever, not that anything dreadful will happen, but they will interrupt the process. And I will smoke. And then the entire time I'm doing the mantra, I am looking for something. I'm looking to purify, to clear something. But to clear it, I have to go down levels, dimensions. If I still have that problem, it's because it's buried deep inside my mind and probably my tissues. So I just keep smoking, and then I wait a few minutes. I'm continuing nonstop with the mantra, and then I smoke again, and I continue. And I get down to memories that I'm not sure that I would have ever gotten in this lifetime if I had not smoked marijuana. In other words, when I have an issue and I'm like stumped because I just go, okay, so I need a session. And it's focused intention on getting down to that dimension, that place, that zip code where that trauma is a congestion called a vasana, which means a deep-rooted injury on your mind strings. And I just keep going. And the marijuana facilitates the relaxation of the rest of the mind streams so that I can get there. Am I saying that everybody should smoke? No. I am not happy when I hear parents being so judgmental about their children smoking. And many times I say to them, fine, you don't like it. What's your kid's behavior? No, he's a good kid, but he's smoking too much. I said, well, maybe he's smoking for a reason, which is to relax. And maybe if he wasn't smoking, he wouldn't be such a good kid, or he would be acting out. And I can't say more than that because I already have some older Hispanic females who still think that cannabis and marijuana is from the devil, that think that I'm addicted, which is like a little bit like, okay, their filter of fear and of judgment that was trained into them, you can't do anything with that, which is, again, why I'm very careful when I talk about it, because that disinformation was very unfortunate for this country, very unfortunate. And for people, those same mothers are not aware that they should have their children, young adults, on cannabis to reduce the fire, which would mean that they would go out into the world with their elements more balanced, because marijuana is a female plant that reduces fire. It just relaxes. And you all know the joke. When we were going to invade Iraq, I said, let's not invade. Airdrop marijuana. That's it. Airdrop it over the whole country and everybody will relax. Honestly, we should airdrop it, the marijuana, on Washington, D.C., which is maybe where the problem started, but not going to get into the politics. So we're going to go ahead and work on your well-being. And we're going to do the usual mantra. And go ahead and check, how do you feel from 1 to 10? And let me put the gold dress up. Ah, okay. Looks a little dull to me today. Doesn't have that bright, bright, bright shine. And however that dress looks to you, what you need to know is, especially if you do not see the gold, we're entering the golden age. Entering the golden age. That means you're not going to be able to see the gold around you. My logo does something interesting, and I've told you this story before. My logo, if I am really clear and relaxed and centered, I see gold all the way around my logo. It's there. I can't see it most of the time, and neither can anybody else. But if I do enough rage mantras, I can see it all around. So we don't just create reality. We have a reality that we created there that we can't access because our frequency is not correct. And that was the second thing I wanted to talk about. Yesterday, also, this planet downloaded via several people, at least on X, what we already knew before, which is that sound is an incredible healer and that sound is really interesting. But it was like news yesterday. It's not news. Sound is the most effective thing for healing. That's why we have these videos, which I call Fox Sensory Therapy, because it's not just sound, we also give you image therapy. But I'm going to stop doing that. I'm just going to call it sound therapy because that's what people recognize. And then tell them about the image therapy. It's very hard to create peace if you are full of images of war and killings and violence and blood, even if it's from your favorite detective show. Very hard to create peace because your mind streams use images to start that whole process of creation. Many years ago, somebody told me something and I admired the person, but I couldn't. He said that when the ships came from Europe to Mexico, the indigenous could not see them. It wasn't part of their reality. They couldn't see them. And I thought, what a silly thing to say to me. And I don't get it. Actually, it makes sense to me now. Rebirthing, knowing and remembering what happened when you were being born is not new information. And yesterday, it was as if it was new. Sound being the most effective healing or just being an incredible healing tool is not new. And yet it was as if it was new. It was like people weren't able to see it. And they can see it now, which is the good news. So here's the mantra. You repeat it in silence. And I need to see what kind of a mood. You know what? Everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid. So we are going to do this one. We're going to do the root chakra sound therapy video rather than saying Fox sensory therapy video. This has drums and everything having to do with root. Root is totally associated with fears or feeling very stable, feeling secure and safe. So let's do 15 minutes of that, okay? And 2 feet on the floor, your hands in the Apana Mudra. And let me try one more thing with you. I'm going to do follow my instructions. Have your 2 feet on the floor, your hands in the Apana Mudra, back of your hands on the top of your thighs. And go ahead, we're going to align your chakras and bodies. You are going to do it following my instructions. Breathe and take your breath down in between your legs, which is where your root chakra is. It's an energy center having to do with safety, security, paying your bills, having food, the police not showing up, nobody coming to murder you, feeling secure and safe. In between your legs, that's the energy center. And breathe and go down now 2 inches more. Parallel to the floor, there's a door. The door is not like this, it's like this. That is the Brahmavara door to the underworld. Underneath that, you have 7 more chakras in the underworld, which is described as hell. We're not going to deal with those today. We're going to make sure that door is closed because that door pops open when there's a lot of fear. And there's a lot of fear on the planet. And today it's very heavy duty. So you went to the trunk of your body, the bottom, you went down 2 inches, there's a door. Make sure it's closed. And if it keeps popping open, just visualize elephants on top of it so it stays closed and breathe. Now go up 1 inch. In that space, I want you to construct with your head, create a visualization, a lotus flower that's going to be 1 inch wider than your shoulders. Keep breathing. The petals are going to be platinum, and there's a stone in the center with a lot of facets that's platinum. So you're talking about an incredibly large lotus flower. Go ahead and breathe. You don't have to get everything perfect. Come up 1 inch and you're back to the bottom of the trunk of your body, which is your root energy center, your root chakra. Breathe and build there with your mind, taking your breath there. Another lotus flower. The petals are red and there's a ruby in the middle that has a lot of facets. And it's 1 inch wider than your shoulders in terms of size. And keep breathing. Now go up 2 inches below your belly button, and that is your sacral chakra, which is where your sexuality, manifestation, creativity is. Breathe into there, construct a lotus flower 1 inch larger, wider than your shoulders, 360 degrees, orange colored petals with a stone in the middle called a carnelian, which is brownish gold, brownish orange color. Keep breathing. Come up 6 inches. You're going to be in your solar plexus, which is where your personal power is channeled. Build with your mind a visualization, a lotus flower, 1 inch larger, wider than your shoulders, yellow, with a stone that's called a citrine in the middle of it. And keep breathing. Come up now in between your breasts, and that is the heart chakra. Construct a lotus flower there. The petals are going to be Nile green, and it's going to be an emerald in the middle with a lot of facets. 360 degrees. Keep breathing. Come up to your throat and build a lotus flower there, blue, with a blue stone in the middle. Come up to your third eye. You're going to construct a lotus flower there, indigo blue, with an indigo blue stone in the center. So it ends up being very big, like wearing a Mexican hat. Go up to the crown chakra, which is here. There are 1,000 white petals there. So build the lotus flower with 1,000 white petals with a white stone in the middle with a lot of facets. Go to the top of your head. There's a door, and you open it. And there's a nectar called Amrit that's going to come in. And you're going to be channeling that nectar into the center axis and out of those 72,000 strings. That dynamic is talked about in the Bible when God is above us and he pours nectar into us. I'm not Christian. I'm not Catholic. I get information in many different places that fits a narrative that makes sense. Keep breathing and keep channeling this nectar. Now, a lot of you are struggling with the strings that come out of the top right part of your body. That's the earth That's the part of your body that channels, that works with the earth element, which is one that all of us are struggling with, to be grounded. What Eckhart Tolle, Eckhart Tolle, his center theme is grounded, grounded, not disassociated, being in the now. This part of our body has to do with that. And I can see from all of you, and I am struggling with it myself, that we are not fully operational. We are disassociated. Most of us are just very legitimately frightened by all the news, by everything that's going on. So keep breathing. Okay. So we just aligned your chakras, and that helps to get all the energy bodies also aligned. So let's go ahead with the mantra. 15 minutes, and we're using the sound therapy that is to make you more secure, more grounded, more landed, and for this quadrant that has to do with the earth element, for it to become more vitalized. Okay? There we go. this was very interesting. I'll show you why. This is narrowing. And if I have to say something, I would say it's almost like we're going to be going through a birth canal. We're in a placenta envelope situation, and we're going up, and we're going to go through a birth canal. And is it possible that that birth canal is going to be the chaos on the planet, and then the being reborn into a new era? But the interesting part was, I'm still seeing it from the back. You all released a big black snake from the from the root chakra, which is the one that is stimulated by this music therapy. And that doesn't happen with the other trilling music that I use. I'll show you what happens when we use that with this same mantra. And you also release gobs of fire element from the root chakra. A lot of frustration, anger, rage in the root chakra having to do with money and payments and bills and inflation, whatever. So, and this is earth, and the fire is coming up, almost like it's going to get us. We have to lift up from it, or we are going to be lifted and are being lifted up from that. So this is what I saw. And this closing here, which wasn't here a few minutes ago, I find very interesting. And I think some people through the decades have described what might be happening next on the planet almost like a birthing process. And when you're born, it's very traumatic, which is the whole point I was making in the beginning, the whole point that Terrence made in his interview with Joe Rogan. It's not simple. For the baby, it's horrifying. So this is with this music, which is called The Power of the Mantristas, directed to the sounds and also the images of the root chakra. So yes, a rebirth. Thank you. I struggle with words a lot I would say the last couple of years, and it has to do with a level of stress, a part of the brain that has to do with words that when you get very stressed, it gets, doesn't function so well. So I'm going to show you now that same mantra we just did, which is the peace mantra. I'm going to show you the changes in a person in under 7 minutes with this music. Let me show you the music first, which if you've been with me before, you know this music because this is the one I've always used. Now I'm just kind of experimenting. This particular music, plus that mantra, and now I'm going to show you the sketches. Okay. That sound is trilling, which is the frequency of birds chirping. It's also the frequency of the 72,000 mind streams. Telomeres at a cell level are mind streams. And that sound is totally healing of them. But I have not seen this that I saw in all of you, which is the releasing of a big spirit in the shape of a serpent that came up and was released from the root chakra due to the mantra plus the sound therapy. So now let me show you what it is. I haven't looked for it for a long time. Okay, this is the person before doing the session with the music and with the mantra. See the black mind streams hanging? She's depressed. Then we gave it the mantra for depression. No music therapy. And the depression mantra is, even though I'm depressed, I love it, accept myself. And look how her mind streams went from this to this in about 2 minutes. That's a big deal. Really big deal. No music. Okay? Then we added the mantra for world peace, the one you just did, no music, and look how great she looks. Those are chi, which is the God particle, and the mind streams are all in the position they're supposed to be in. I'm sure it's not all of them, but this is what I sketched. No sound therapy. Yes, the mantra. And then we add the sound therapy, the trilling with the world peace mantra. And you can see there is a line, a cupola, a shield around the mind streams. And there's a spirit in the upper right hand corner, and it cannot come in. And see from the ground how the element of earth, the green, is coming up into the mind, the assemblage of bodies, when we added the music therapy, which also has images. So you have to play with the different music sounds with the images. You have to do the images. I mean, the fact that people can't hear me now doesn't mean they don't work. They do work. And you play with the mantra, and also where it is that you direct your breath plus the mantra. But in this case, this person, this was all 7 minutes. I was totally shocked. And we're talking about a person that was massively depressed. Totally shocked. So I think basically we have finished. We're definitely, as a humanity, going someplace. This definitely looks like a birth canal. We are absolutely in the ascension process. And we absolutely have protection. Those of us that are in the ascension process, there will be people whose frequency is lower that are going to get left behind with this fire, which means planet Earth, totally out of balance because there's an excess of the fire element. Of the 4 elements, the excess is the fire. And this year, there's no water element according to Chinese astrology. So the planet is literally burning up, and burning up in extra fire means depression, rage, anger, physical violence, emotional violence, killings, suicide. Those are symptoms. You cannot do those things, any of those things, from rage to suicide to physical violence. None of that can happen unless there's an imbalance of elements and there's an excess of the fire. So a lot of people have not understood or have not taken care of that. You can't just be great and nice and wonderful in your head. You have this entire system that has to be balanced in order for you not to fall prey to what is killing the planet, which is an excess of the fire element. People don't even know about the elements. Even when they teach acupuncture to people here from the West or Ayurveda, they don't really get into that, which is totally ridiculous because it's the basis for health according to every medicine except for modern medicine. So if you want to play and do have me read for some of you your process of being born, me leading you in a guided meditation with the mantra to go back there, you're going to need to contact me, because at this point, the people that are the most interactive are the people that I'm already dealing with in all my Spanish events. We're already doing this. So if you only speak English and you really like this, then you need to let me know. And you need to get some other people over here that would be liking what it is that we're doing here. I'm going to keep doing this anyway, but it could be a little bit more interactive and a little bit more fun, but that would mean that you would have to get involved. And maybe a lot of you are not ready. Maybe a lot of you need to see what it is that I say and see if things add up, etc., for a longer space of time. And that's fine with me. That's just fine with me. So that's it. And today is Thursday. So we will see you back tomorrow. And I do suggest that you try to do that mantra a lot, because The good thing about this mantra is that you won't have anybody bullying you because you will have balanced your elements. For somebody to bully you, whether it's financial or physical, you have to have fire inside of you, too much fire inside of you. So that mantra you should do even if you're not here with us in the group, and it will make a huge difference. Those mantras, when you do them, you become a vacuum cleaner for your space, and you can draw it into you, and then your breath expels it and it's already purified. It doesn't stay in the space. And I recommend that if you're ever going someplace like a family reunion and you know it gets very iffy and somebody's going to get cranky because there's spirits there that want to ensure that the family doesn't get along, and you don't know it, but you just know that everything gets like a little bit iffy. When you're on your way there, you can do this mantra and just tell God, I would like to kind of purify the ambiance so that we can enjoy ourselves. And it makes a huge difference. The mind is very powerful. It creates everything. So you can recreate the other dimensions of where it is that you're at or where you're going. And you should try it. Experiment with it. I was thinking about the whole thing with science, and I'm going to finish this with this. Science is like 600 years old. What is science? It's a bunch of people under artificial circumstances studying something and coming to a conclusion. Totally prostituted in this country because they need the funding, so they have to please who's funding, and that is not science. And in the case of astrology and when you were born, the insurance companies years ago did a study. I think it was 5 million people. I mean, it's a computer program. And they checked which were the people that were most liable to have car accidents. And it was Gemini, the people that are astrologically a Gemini. I'm half Gemini. We can be very distracted very easily. Oh, what's that? As we're driving. And the people that get sick the most easily are Libras. Now, they did a computer program. So now we can officially believe in astrology because an insurance company wanted to find out who is more liable to have an accident. But as many astrologers have pointed out, there's 5,000 years of observation on astrology. Why didn't we respect that? Oh, because it wasn't science. What is science? Observe and draw conclusions. And those observations and those conclusions were not manipulated with money. I'm sure there were a lot of bad people then, whatever. But in terms of this that we're talking about, there's not a manipulation there. Observe and draw conclusions. I think we need to throw the concept of science out. Totally. We need to trash it. It's not, I don't know that it's fixable. And I think it's going to get trashed anyway because you see, people, the same way they now woke up to the fact that, oh my God, we can have memory when we're getting born. And we've known this for a long time. And those same people heard it before, but they never really heard it. I think people are waking up and they're going to be able to do their own observe and draw conclusions. Things are going to be very different. And we're no longer going to be adoring science as a religion. And maybe science is not going to exist at all after a while. And it might be a good thing. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you back tomorrow.